slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough.
Really important question. How do we make life better today without totally ruining things for the people who come after us? Let's figure it out.
So, to really get our heads around this, let's start with a little thought experiment. I like to call it the last chocolate problem. It kind of sums up the entire dilemma perfectly.
All right, picture this. You've got one single amazing piece of chocolate. It's right there, and it's all yours. So what's your first instinct? You're going to eat it, right? Of course you are. You eat it all right now, and it is delicious. Instant happiness. But then tomorrow happens, and you're thinking, man, I could really go for some chocolate right now. But oops, it's gone. There's nothing left. Now, here's the big leap. What if that piece of chocolate wasn't just candy? What if it was our planet's resources? You know, the stuff we can't just make more of, like our clean water, our forests, our breathable air. All of a sudden, that simple choice becomes maybe the most important challenge we face on a global scale.
This brings us to the solution. We need a new way of thinking about progress, and it's not about stopping growth, no way. It's about finding a much, much smarter way to do it.
And here it is, the classic definition. Sustainable development is all about meeting our needs right now. You know, the things we need to live good lives today, without making it impossible for our kids and our grandkids to meet their needs in the future. Just think about it for a second. Our needs today, things like food, jobs, electricity, roads, and what do you think people are going to need in the future? You guessed it, the exact same things. The basic needs don't really change. Our actions today just decide if the resources will still be there for them tomorrow. And I want to be super clear about this. Development is not the enemy here. Progress is a good thing. It's careless development, the kind that only thinks about right now and completely ignores tomorrow. That's the really dangerous stuff. So let's take a look at what happens when we get it wrong. Here are a couple of real-world examples of that careless, short-sighted kind of growth. We'll start with a situation playing out in so many parts of the world. Let's call it the case of the drying wells. It's a powerful story about our most precious resource, water. Here's how this tragic story usually goes. Farmers start using these deep tube wells to water their crops. And at first, it's a miracle. Incomes shoot up, communities are thriving. But year after year, the water level deep underground gets lower and lower until one day the wells run dry. And the land that was so productive just can't support them anymore. This really captures the whole problem, doesn't it? It was development, sure, but it was short-term thinking that led straight to a long-term environmental and economic disaster. A quick win today that costs you everything tomorrow. Okay, let's look at another critical example. This one's about what we call the hidden cost of doing business, specifically when it comes to our forests. This slide lays out the trade-off so clearly. So what do we gain right away when we cut down a forest? You know, tangible things like timber, land for roads, space for new industries. But what do we lose? Well, just the little things like oxygen to breathe, predictable rain, a stable climate, and the homes and livelihoods for millions of people. It's a pretty steep price to pay. So these problems are obviously huge and super complex. They're not just local issues, they are global. And that means the world needed to come up with a coordinated response, a global action plan. And that answer came in the form of the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. They were adopted by the United Nations, and they're basically the world's shared to-do list, a game plan for all countries to work on these challenges together. There are 17 goals in total, and they cover a huge range of topics, but some of the key ones really get to the heart of what we're talking about. Things like making sure everyone has clean drinking water, powering our world with affordable and clean energy, creating decent jobs and fair economies, and of course the big one, holding it all together, taking urgent climate action. You see, the crucial point here is a total shift in how we think about this stuff. True development isn't just about a rising stock market or more money in the bank. It's about the overall quality of life. I mean, if a country is incredibly rich, but its citizens are breathing polluted air, is it really developed? Not really. Now, this can all seem massive, maybe even a little overwhelming. But sustainable development isn't just a job for governments and big organizations. It comes right down to every single one of us. We all have a part to play. And it's really a partnership, which this slide breaks down perfectly. On one side, you have the government's role. They do the big picture stuff, like making laws, promoting renewable energy, and protecting forests. But our role is just as vital. It's the millions of little things we do every day, saving water and electricity, using less plastic, planting trees, that actually bring those big plans to life. And never, ever underestimate the power of this. One person's small action might not seem like a big deal, but when you multiply that by millions or even billions of people all doing their part, well, that's not a small action anymore. That's a movement that creates massive, meaningful change. So as we wrap up, it really all comes down to these three simple ideas. For any development to be truly sustainable, it has to check three boxes. It's got to be economically beneficial, it's got to be socially fair, and of course, it has to be environmentally safe. If you're missing even one of those pillars, the whole thing is just not built to last.
And that really brings us to the final takeaway. The path we're on isn't set in stone. Development is a choice. It's a whole series of choices we make every single day as individuals and as a whole society. So the question isn't what the future holds. The question is, what future will we choose to build? Thanks for watching.